Welcome back to Forward Progress, presented by FanDuel. We are back, and we're taking a look at the NFC South in this video. I'm your host here, Jason Cooper, alongside Fabian Sumer at Suma810 on Twitter. Let's just dive right into things right away here. I'll pull up the odds on FanDuel for the NFC South. Right now, top of the list, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Seems like it's their division to lose, priced at around plus 100 to win their division. A little bit about the Buccaneers. I mean, you look at their offseason this year, pretty good considering they didn't really lose much, right? The only thing they really lost was they lost Liam Cohen. They brought in a new offensive coordinator. They took Emeka Egbuka, which was like, it's good for their future, but also good now considering how old Godwin and Evans are. They're still great players, but there's obviously a chance of injury for Godwin, who's been a known injury risk throughout his career. The depth there is really, really nice for the team. I think the ceiling is high for this Bucs team, considering they didn't really lose much. Just tell me your thoughts on the market expectation. I think their win total is around 9.5. Where do you feel like it lies? And tell me a little bit about the Bucs, what you make of their offseason.
Yeah, I absolutely love the Bucs. Basically, their development last 2 years with Baker Mayfield. I took a look at some of the numbers. Since 2023, Baker Mayfield ranks 7th in EPA per play among all quarterbacks. Like last year, that offense ranked 5th in EPA per play, 3rd in success rate, and that was despite Chris Godwin missing 11 games and Mike Evans missing 3 games. They played 3 games. It was a 3-game stretch against, I think, Atlanta, Kansas City, and San Francisco, where their 3 starting wide receivers were Jalen McMillan, Trey Palmer, and Sterling Shepard. So, and I mean, still finishing like a top 5-ish offense. I mean, Liam Cohen did a phenomenal job, and remains to be seen how good Josh Grizzard is going to be. But I think returning all those starters, getting another wide receiver in the first round, Chris Godwin seems to be on track. I don't expect him to be near 100%. But if you look at those 4 receivers and with Chris Godwin maybe being at 85%, I mean, hard to believe there's not going to be a good offense again. Pass blocking was incredible, returning all 5 starters. So question mark at OC, but other than that, I have little doubt that this offense is going to roll again this season. Some concerns about the defense. I mean, they were not good last year, like in the 20s in terms of EPA per play. They also couldn't really get to the quarterback when only rushing for major issue. And I don't really think that the depth chart majorly improved. Like Hassan Reddick had 1 good year in 2020 in 2022. So I think this might be a very good offense again, probably a below average defense. It's their division to lose. I think in terms of a mean projection for their win total, I think 9.5. I slightly lean towards the over, but I think that considering the Panthers and the Falcons, we'll talk about this, having a let's say a right tail, there are too many things that could run for the Bucs. So I think smallly towards the over, but I think that it's their division to lose. And I think if this offense is clicking and they can get anything out of their defense, I think they are also a decent bet for the NFC. When you look at the odds table for the NFC, they are like the 8th best to win. And I think they should not be the 8th best team in the NFC odds table, to be honest.
Yeah, no, and I'll bring that up right now. 13-1 over on FanDuel for them to win the NFC Championship. I mean, we talked about this a little bit earlier before the show. It's like if they can secure that first seed in their division, and if they can kind of sneak away with 4, maybe 4-2 within their division, there's a real chance they can get 10, 11, maybe 12 wins, be like one of the higher seed teams in the NFC, and kind of get a relatively easy path to that NFC Championship, and maybe end up in the Super Bowl there. I really like the upside here for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just because of, again, that path that they could potentially have. And Baker Mayfield looks great. Like, he truly looks like a top 10 quarterback. All right. That's about it for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's move on to, we talked about the most fun team. Now let's talk about the most gross team in the NFC South. New Orleans Saints. I mean, everything about them is just like gross, disgusting. Their roster, it's just, as the kids say, it's like gives me the ick, right? So outside of Rashid Shaheed, Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, Granderson, they have like really below average to replacement level starters, like just across the board. On top of that, terrible coaching staff. At least I believe to be a terrible coaching staff. I have zero faith in them. We have no idea who their quarterback's going to be, if it's either Spencer Rattler or Tyler Shuck. I mean, don't know much about Tyler Shuck, but from what I heard about draft guys, he's not the greatest quarterback out there, and I don't think he'll help them out that much. But yeah, the situation is dire for the New Orleans Saints. Market right now has them at 5.5 wins, juiced towards the under. My question is, how low is too low for this team? Is 5.5 wins juiced toward the under too low, or do you think you could even go lower with this team? Tell me a little bit about the Saints if you like any of their offseason moves, just about them in general.
To be honest, I don't think that there's too much to like. I mean, we are going to get Kellen Moore in a head coach position. To be honest, he has orchestrated a few very productive offenses, but I don't think we can say that he really has shown enough independent of offensive talent. Like Chargers in 2023, despite having Justin Herbert, were just averaging 0.03 EPA per play with Herbert on the field. And they were basically unwatchable once he got down. So I lean towards Kellen Moore being very solid, but I need like a bigger sample size to make a final conclusion. Their offense last year started off, but then got absolutely derailed by injuries. I think they had the most adjusted games lost on offense. I have no clue how Tyler Shuck is going to play. I think he's going to be the starter, but absolutely no clue. Could be a total bust, could be solid. I don't know. Offensive line, they arguably had the worst pass protection once those injuries kicked in. And I don't really think that they upgraded that line in terms of their 5 starting positions. Rookie left tackle Trevor Penning is going to be left guard. Absolutely no clue how much they can really improve from that. Chris Olave has had, I think, 5 concussions as a pro. There's probably some injury probability to be baking in for him. Will they incorporate Taysom Hill? No clue. Brandon Cooks is entering his 32 edge season. Rashid Shaheed, our Rashid, nice deep threat, is going to be back healthy, but I mean, this could go absolutely downside, I would argue. I mean, that defense, they have always been a let's say average-ish defense in recent years, but I don't think that their defense has enough firepower to really propel that offense. And if that offense sucks, I mean, I think 5.5 is probably still a little bit too high. I would lean towards the under. I think 5 wins is probably a good goal for them, but yeah, I could not bet this over.
Yeah, it's they built their team to be the first overall pick next year. It feels like, at least. And like in terms of like stuff outside of their win total and betting, I placed the bet a little bit earlier on in the offseason. I think it was around plus 450 when I bet it. I have them to finish last in the NFL. It was plus 450. I mean, if you want to take their if you're going to take their win total and you want to take their under, that might be a slightly better bet. Kind of gives you a little bit more room, because if you want to take the under alt 3.5, which is like doesn't leave you a lot of room there, it's plus 250. You can get them to have the worst record in the NFL, plus 450 there. You can maybe get some dead heat luck, worst case scenario there. But yeah, I mean, just a tough offense, tough team. Kellen Moore, I think you mentioned it. We haven't really seen him produce as an offensive coordinator in terms of like with poor talent. He's always had relatively good talent around him. Right now, like he has below the 32nd best quarterback in the NFL. So we're talking like backup quality starters for their quarterback. But let's get into the next 2 teams. Before we do, just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors over at FanDuel. It might be the offseason, but if you want to bet on the NFL and NFL futures, FanDuel is the place to go for that action. They have tons of markets available, including player award props from MVP, season leaders, passing props, rushing props, receiving props. They have team futures, who's going to win the Super Bowl, to win their conference division, stage of elimination, and also they have win totals, and you can bet your alts there as well. Best part is you can parlay those futures all together. If you're looking for some excitement or for something new, go to FanDuel.com. Just visit FanDuel.com/forward progress to download America's #1 sportsbook. That's FanDuel.com/forward progress. All right, we got 2 teams out of the way. out of the way. We're going to go into the Carolina Panthers next. Last year was kind of a tale of two seasons for Bryce Young. Looked very awful to start the season. Andy Dalton came in, comes back into play, and looks relatively good, much improved in the second half of the season. It's obviously going to how the Carolina Panthers do next year is going to rely a lot on him, but the Panthers did a great job in getting him help. They got a true number one with Ted McMillan. They put Xavier Legette back to like his more natural position instead of being an X receiver. Package that with a good run game, good offensive line, good offensive coordinator, or good head coach who can coach an offense. This team has potential to be like top 15-ish offense, which is like a much big improvement from what they were from last year. Market agrees with this as well. Price is a 7-win team. Do you think the Panthers have a chance to kind of sneak their way into the playoffs this year as like a 7, I guess not as a 7, but like an 8-win team? Tell me your thoughts on the Carolina Panthers.
I like the upside, but I think I would like to make a good case or positive case and a negative case for them. The good case is Bryce Young continues on that trajectory. Ted McMillan is going to be a superstar. Then that drops Xavier Legette, you mentioned it, into his natural position, wide receiver 2. And then you have Adam Thielen only being in his age 35 season, the wide receiver 3. So decent O-line, some issues in pass protection still, I would say, but overall decent O-line. Bryce Young having a very continuing ascending season, improved receiving group. I think there's a positive case for that offense, for an offense that could really surprise a lot of people. The bad case is Ted McMillan maybe is not that superstar in his rookie season. Xavier Legette maybe is just bad. I mean, he was averaging 1.19 yards per route one last year. That was Greg Dortch, Tim Patrick territory. Jimmy Horn, 6th round. I don't know what to make of that depth chart overall. Maybe Adam Thielen's completely falling off a cliff. We don't know. And then we look at that defense. I mean, that defense last year was absolutely horrible. Yes, they had a lot of injuries among their front 7. Absolutely. They had a historically bad run defense. They gave up 0.08 EPA per rush. That's like really historically bad. And their defensive line had no real NFL players. So what did they do in the offseason? They got some real NFL players. But did they get significantly better? I don't know. Derek Brown is coming back. Nice. Deshaun Watson got a decent deal. He had basically had one slightly good season next to the best DT in the game. He was not good against the run. Bobby Brown has been solid. Pat Jones had a minor role at Minnesota. Trevor Murray was pretty solid, but I would say they spend money on like C+ players, and they have such a big gap to fulfill to get better. So let's say instead of the 32nd defense, they are going to be with some turnover regression, 25th best defense. So then you really need a really good offense to make up for it towards, sneaking into the playoffs. So the case is, or the positive case is, Bryce Young is having a great season. McMillan is that guy, and they can cover up some deficiencies on their defense. But if like anything goes wrong on offense, I don't know, man. This could be another long season at Carolina. So in total, I would probably still lean towards the under. If you like the over, I would probably go with like all overs, because if they're having a good season, it's because of their offense, and then they could have a really good season.
Yeah, no, the fat tail is there for their offense for sure. And I just want to quickly touch on Ted McMillan. Just taking a look at the offensive rookie of the year market. McMillan is priced 10-1 right now to win. It's like, I think we talked about this a lot this offseason. Like Gene T at plus 270 is a little skeptical for me, because it's just like the game state that the Raiders are going to be in is like, chances are they're going to be needing to throw the ball to win games. So obviously he'll get the volume, but like, will the game state be there for him to get the yards and the touchdowns that he needs to be successful and get that rookie of the year? Cam Ward at the number 2 or number is second on the board here at plus 300. Another guy who like maybe the talent around him isn't good enough for him to win the offensive rookie of the year just by virtue of the Tennessee Titans not being very good. Then you go down Travis Hunter. Then Ted McMillan feels like of all these players is like the most, I don't want to say guaranteed playing time, but if you look at like compared to other wide receivers, Travis Hunter could potentially be playing on the other side of the ball, which might limit his snaps on offense. Then most of the other receivers there are stuck in offenses with other talented receivers. Ted McMillan is by far and away the guy for the Carolina Panthers. So at 10-1, do you think it's worth taking a shot at him to win Offensive Rookie of the Year?
Probably yes. I mean, he has a clear path to be that alpha guy on that offense. So if he's that dude, I would not be surprised if we saw a slightly better stat line that McCarkey put up last year. I think he was like in the 84-ish catches, 1,200 yards, 7 touchdowns, something like that. So I would not be surprised if we saw a stat line by McMillan, if he is that dude, and if Bryce Young really is that ascending quarterback. So decent upside for sure. I would not be surprised if McMillan had a really, really great season.
Yeah, no, fair enough here. Let's round it out with the Atlanta Falcons. Was a little bit lower on them when I kind of started my offseason prep, but then as the offseason has gone on, they've kind of grown on me, right? Like if you look at Penix last year, towards the end of the year when he was playing, he was kind of exactly as advertised out of college, where he was able to avoid sacks, get the ball out quickly, and able to throw with accuracy. This team has like a strong offensive line, great underrated receiver in Drake London, obviously Bijan Robinson in the running game. Maybe Kyle Pitts finally breaks out. Like this is a good offense if Penix is like a good quarterback and and continues to play as advertised last year. On top of that, like their biggest need was addressed in the draft. I know a lot of people gave them a bunch of shit for giving up a ton of capital, but like they needed pass rushers really, really bad. And they addressed that by getting 2 first-round pick pass rushers in James Pierce and Jalen Walker. Like I'm not a film guy. I don't know if they're going to have an immediate impact, but it's definitely a talent upgrade based on what they had last year. It's addressing by far their biggest need on defense. So with all that put together, this is a 7.5 win team, juice towards the over -130. So about an 8-win team here for the Falcons. What do you make of their market expectations? What are your thoughts on the Falcons?
Yeah, fair tale. Nice upside. You mentioned all the points. One thing I would like to add is that I listened to a podcast with their OC, Zach Robinson, I think last month, and he mentioned that they are really trying to incorporate Michael Penix's legs into that offense. They did not do that last year because that offense was fully designed for Kirk Cousins. Penix was basically not in their plan to be starting a lot of games. And this year, he was saying that when they do the GPS tracking at practice, he is basically running like a wide receiver in terms of speed and acceleration, stuff like that. So if maybe we are going to see like a classic dual threat kind-ish of offense, not that Lamar Jackson, Jane Dennis type of offenses, but maybe we will really see a few designed runs and a few decent scrambles from him. That would really, I think, raise the floor of that offense. Let's say he's bad. Let's just pretend this. When you look at their schedule, like first 8 games, let me pull this up. Tampa Bay, Minnesota, Carolina, Washington, Buffalo, San Francisco, Miami, New England. So let's say Penix is not that guy, is not that good. I mean, I could easily see them starting 1-7. I don't think that's completely out of reach. If Penix is not that second-year guy who makes a major step forward. So, I think this is a classic lower expectation / high upside kind of team. I think if you want to play anything on the win total or something, I would probably go with the old over 9.5. But other than that, classic wait and see team for me, because I'm not convinced that their defense is going to be significantly better, at least early in the season. All those young guys, and when you really look at that quality along their depth chart, I still think that they are not going to be that good along the defensive line, and they will still be reliant on like their secondary getting a few key turnovers. So classic wait and see team for me. If Penix is that dude, I will immediately upgrade them.
Yeah, it makes sense here. And for the best ball bros out there who like want to, or even fantasy guys, Michael Penix currently QB 21. You have to think if he's running the football, and obviously like if he's going to be a good quarterback, that might be a guy you might want to take a stab on late, especially if you're doing like a Drake London stack. Might be a good way to get some unique builds in there with Michael Penix at
fantasy
QB 21.
Fantasy take. Justin Fields, I think he's going like the QB 9 or something. Is that I did a few best ball drafts and he was definitely going in the top 10 in
QB 10
formats.
Yeah,
QB 10. Okay, so I disagree with that gap between him and Penix. I mean, Justin Fields is playing for arguably the worst team, and not the worst team, but a bottom 5 team. And if they cannot get a passing game going, I mean, would you be surprised if Justin Fields is benched by week 7? I would not be. So I disagree with that best ball gap between Penix and Justin Fields.
Fair enough. I mean, it's almost 40 pick difference between the two, QB 10 to QB 21, according to best ball, which is not super flex. So it's those guys are a little bit lower. But yeah, just be careful out there in your super flex. There's a little bit of fantasy take in there. I absolutely love it. Sumo, before we head out here, I just have 2 questions for you. One, who do you think, of these 4 teams, who do you think has the widest range of outcomes in terms of their ceiling and their floor? Like, who has the largest range of these 4?
I would go with Carolina because, like I said, there's a chance that this is going to be a really, really decent offense with a defense that I still think this is an awful depth chart. But some regression, maybe they are a little bit more robust along their front 7, and they can be like, I don't know, a 23rd, 24th kind of defense combined with a good offense. They might, I don't know, they could win like 9 games and play for the wildcard late in the season. But if anything goes off or goes wrong with their offense and their defense sucks once again, I could also see them playing for the number 1 pick again. So I think they have the widest range.
Yeah, fair enough. Widest range of outcomes, Carolina Panthers there. And then finally, give me the exact finishing order for the NFC South. 1, 2, 3, 4. Who you got?
Independent of any odds. Okay. Bucs, Panthers, Falcons, Saints.
Independent of odds, but if you want to bet on it, you can bet on it over at FanDuel plus 700 if you agree with Sumo on that. Bucs, Panthers, Falcons, Saints take. And that wraps up for us here today. Guys, if you enjoy the content, do us a favor. Smash that like button. Goes a long way for us in the algorithm. We also want to hear your thoughts. So while you're there smashing that like button, drop us a comment down below on your thoughts on the NFC South. Who you like, who you don't like. Maybe if we were too high on one team, too low on another team. You let us know in the comment section down below. And if you're new to the channel, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button, turn on notification bells, because we got tons of off-season content coming your way from now until the start of the NFL season. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you in the next one.